Subdomains can be a critical aspect of building your organization, business, or school district to make things organized in a way that makes sense for your needs. The Subdomains tab allows you to create as many subdomains as you need. Subdomains could be by client, it could be by district, it could be by school, it could be by content libraries. The purpose is twofold. One, you can create subdomains to organize content and users, or you can use subdomains to create a branded instance for the organization that you're working with. To build a subdomain, I click New. This could be Client 1. Obviously, you would put the client's name in here. The user space is the prefix that they're going to type in before agilixbuzz.com in the URL. So for example, this would be client 1, and then they would type in client1.agilixbuzz.com. The external ID is an ID you can use to search or to connect to a third-party information system. And click Create. This now creates a subdomain. I can go into a subdomain by clicking on the domain ID. You'll notice now that the admin app changes to Client 1. You are now in this domain, which you can do anything you can do in the parent domain. You can continue to create subdomains within Client 1. If this was a school district, it could be School District 465. And in the school district, you could create subdomains for each high school. Or for a client, it could be Client 1, and you can create subdomains for departments or regions. I would call this Client 1, Region 1. So in the user space, you could type in Client 1-Region 1. And then you could give it an external ID if needed, and click Create. So I could also continue down this hierarchy, but in this example, under Client 1, I have subdomains, and I can continue to do Region 2, 3, 4, 5. If I click on the admin app here, I can use this drop-down to access any domains that sit above my subdomains. So now I could go back to my main domain, view my subdomains, and there's Client 1. Another example here could be a content library that we use subscriptions for, which I'll show you those in a different video. But we'll create it for the purpose of this course. In here you can type Master Courses, or you could even be as specific and say High School Master Courses. Give it a user space and external ID if needed, and then click Create. And then in here, I could click into that subdomain. So once I'm in that subdomain, I go to my menu and courses, and in here I can build our master courses that then we can make copies of or give a subscription to. Again, if I want to go back to any parent domain, I click on the drop down and it will take me to that domain. To access a subdomain from a URL, you would simply click a new tab, client1.agilixbuzz.com, and then from there you would log in. The users that are enrolled in that domain will be able to log in. If you're an administrator and want to log into a subdomain, you need to use a prefix of where your account was first created. So for example, mine is called Nikki Demo, and then I would do a / and then I would use the username that I built in that user space. And the same password. That now logs me into that subdomain as an administrator. This alleviates having to create a username for each new subdomain that you create. If you are a user, you would not need to type the prefix. You would just type in your username and password. From the Subdomains tab in my parent domain, I can click or select any domain. I can click the vertical bars and delete it All of the functions that you're going to learn about domains are accessible in any subdomain. It's important to understand the workflow for each of your subdomains. I might want to build all learners and courses in, for example, the school district domain. So in here, I would add my users and courses to the subdomain. I also might have courses and users in my parent domain. So it's important to think about where you want your users and courses to display.